Hey friends, welcome back. Now let's enrich the data we already have imported by using additional data from the internet. So in my location data in here, if I go here, I have currently my location name, which is Anaheim, Antioch, Bakersfield, and so on, which is in California. And I also have here some information about the population. So if I scroll to the right, here you can see there's a population number in here. However, this data is not up to date anymore. So how do I get the latest data? Well, there is a website, and I already opened this in the browser, which is this one, which is worldpopulationreview.com/states/cities/California. And on this page, there is here this specific table. And this table gives you information about the population of 2021. So that's probably currently the latest data in here, right? So for Los Angeles, San Diego, and so on. So all the states, and there is the data in here. And we want to import this data and actually get the latest population figures. So how do we do this? Well, you can, of course, download the CSV file, the JSON file, so one of them, and then import it into Power BI. Or we can simply choose, so copy the whole URL, so worldpopulationreview.com/states/cities/California. And then we go back to our Power BI report, to our query editor in here. And then we want to create a new source. So under Home, go to New Source. And then here we'll choose Web. So we want to import data from a web page. Exactly, that's it. So tick this option. And then we need to add here the URL. So I just paste the same URL we have seen inside, and then I click OK. Now Power BI will scan the website and search for HTML tables. Now, of course, this works better or worse depending on what kind of website you try to scrape data from. But in this case, if you have a website which has a clear HTML structure, then Power BI should find tables. And here we go. There is here an HTML table, table 1. And there's also a suggested table, table 2. Now, of course, you don't know what the data is, so just click on the table and you get a preview of the data. And you can see here, that is table 1. So that looks kind of familiar, right? Because that's exactly the table we need. And there's also a suggested table, which is table 2, which only contains the small table at the beginning. So remember, if I go back to the website here, you'll see that this is the first table in here. So this one here, which currently Power BI actually proposes to use, but that's not what we want to use. We want to use the second table in here. That's why I want to choose here the table number 1. So this one here, and I want to import this. So then I just select the table here and I click OK. So as soon as I do this, then now Power BI is loading the data, and there's table 1. And now here it's available for us. So that's how easy it is to get actually data from the web. And now, of course, now we want to use this data here and add it to our current location table here, to this one here. So specifically what we want from table number 1, and let's actually name this web query. So let me just select this and call this web query. So that's the query here. And what we want is we want to add here actually only the other data. If you need it, you can also add it, but in my case, I only want to have the population here. So to do this, I will select my location table here, and this time I want to merge the queries. So last time we appended the queries because we stacked them on top of each other, but this time I want to add additional columns to my current table. That's why I want to go with merge queries. You could also, same here, this option, click here and merge queries as new. However, because I want to add the data actually to my current location table, I simply click on merge queries because I modify the current table. I don't need to have a separate table for that. I click on merge queries, and here we go. Now you can see location is the first table, and we need to select another table from the tables we have. We go with the web query in here, tick this option. Now we can see both tables. And finally, we need to specify what are the columns we need to use in order to merge them. So in this case, in my location table, I have the name of the state, or in this case of the county, or the name of the city. In this case, it's actually city. And here I also choose for the web query the city here, this one. For the privacy levels, we simply tick ignore privacy for now, because we don't need to have any kind of privacy in here. Click on save. And now you see that here for the matching, 73 of 74 rows have been found. So obviously there is one specific entry which can't be found in the data from the web query. But for me, that is fine. That's enough. I can have a look, of course, of the special item here later on, but I always here map almost all of the specific, in this case, cities. So that's fine. Then we click OK. And now you see that you got one new, in this case, column, which is called web query, which contains tables. And if you click not on the table, but next to the table, click here, you see a preview. And you see there are all the columns from Anaheim, in this case, because this is currently, if I scroll to the right, exactly here, Anaheim, the city of this first entry. So we get basically all the columns from our web table here now in the location table. And the table structure here, this one, allows us now to specify what kind of columns, which are currently in here, as you can see in the preview, do we want to keep. And we can do this by clicking on the expand icon here, click here, and then specify what of the columns do you actually want to have. So if we leave all of them selected, we will get a new column for each of those entries here. But because I only actually need, in this case, the population, only this one, I simply deselect everything, and then I only select population. So I only get one new column, which contains the population from the web query table. And I also want to untick this use original column as prefix, because I don't need this. Otherwise, I would keep the original table name in front of the name 2021 population. That's not what I want. That's why I untick this option here, and I click OK. And if I do this, now you have one new column here, which is this one here, which is simply then appended to my location table. And this column here is coming from the web query table in here, from this one. As I said, you can also choose to use several of those columns if you need them, but for me now, I only need the one I added here with the merge to the location table, which is my new population here, which is this one in here. So that's the old one here, and that's the new one. And you clearly see that there are differences. So these here, 350,000 and so on, and these are 349,000 and so on. So obviously there are small differences in here because this is the latest number, and this number here we had in the model is older. Next, we of course want to also change this to a numerical type, because currently you see it's ABC, which means it's referring to text. That's why I can click here, and I can also choose here to have this as a whole number. So go on whole number here, and if I try to do this, you'll see that for me it returns errors. So what happened? Well, now here it depends on your probably current local settings in Power BI. The reason why this did not work for me, this transformation step, is because I'm here located in Germany and our decimal separator is different from the US, for instance. So we use comma as a decimal separator, not a dot. And that is why I received errors when I tried to convert this. Because let me just click on or remove the last step, because currently I have here commas as a thousander separator, which is not handled properly in my current local settings. So maybe the steps here by converting this into whole number directly works for you, then that's totally fine. But if you have issues also later on with data regarding from different countries and the comma and thousander separator is different, then what you can always do is you, instead of choosing here directly one of those options, you go to this using local. And if you choose this using local option here, then you can customize, just a second, there's a window. You can customize what kind of data type do you want. So we want to have a whole number. And I don't want to use the German format here, which is selected by default for me. For you, it would be different. But here I can now choose for US or English US. So if I go up here, and there's English, and there's United States, and I also get a preview here, but I know this is from US web page, and this is exactly the comma separator for the 1000. This is exactly what I need. And now if I click OK to convert it this way, now you see I got the numbers here, and I don't get these issues and errors here, which we've seen before, because now I can see the real numbers in here. So this is really, really powerful, this option here using local. Because let's face it, if you work internationally, you deal with a lot of different countries, and there is this issue with the different kinds of separators, and you can simply remove any kind of issues here using this using local option. The final option would be that you take a closer look. If I scroll down, you can easily see that there is missing entry. Remember, only 73 of our 74 entries actually got some data. This is why you can see a little, in this case, gray or black bar here, which tells you that there's one empty value, which is just referring to this null entry here. Which means that if I scroll to the right, obviously here for San Buenaventura or Ventura here, for this specific here, there is no data in the or on the web for this specific, this case, city or what it is. So now, of course, you can fill this. You can, for instance, use the replace values option here, or you could also think about, if you go to, in this case, add column here, use a conditional column. So let's say if this column is not empty, then keep the new 2021 population. If it is empty, then please use the original one. So I can refer to this one. Where is it? Sorry, there, this one here, if I want to do that. So that's up to you. In my case, that's not really important. I just want to highlight this. If you want to use your dataset and you want to cover this, then of course these are the options you have regarding this null entry. Or you just filter it out, right? You can also go in here and say, I want to filter, I don't want to see the null. You untick this option, you click OK, and then you see that this is gone. So that's up to you with how you want to deal with that. And finally, of course, if you want to then get rid of the original population, you could do that. Simply by right-clicking here, you say you want to remove this, click on remove here, and then you go in here and name your new field here, this one here, and call this population. Population. So that's how you can do that. And that's basically it for adding this additional information or newer information using a web query. So that's a way to enrich the data. And of course, depending on your data set, you can do this with all kinds of data sources. So hopefully that was interesting and you were able to follow along. And otherwise, thanks a lot for watching and hopefully see you in the next video. Until then, best guys.